Why is it that in South African media, the more scandalous a black woman is, the bigger her platform becomes? Let's talk about this. Welcome to Front Row Seats. I'm Essie, a social work UCT student, and I'm getting over my fear of being seen by talking about the things that I'm passionate about, whether that be socially, politically, or anything in between. And you get to have a front row seat to my one-man show. So let's get into it. Let me show you something. 29k views, 36k views, 174,000 views. See, I'm not showing you these to bash this creator. I'm just simply showing you evidence of a rule that has operated across every level of South African female media, right? The rule is simple, really. If you're a black female and your content is scandalous, then your chances of going viral are way higher than if your content was wholesome. If your story involves chaos, transgression, controversy, or proximity to wealth, then the media will find you and cover you, the algorithm will push you, and audiences will consume you. This is not just my opinion. There's been proof of this for about 20 years now in South African media. And if you want to understand where this came from, then it's important that you go back to the blueprint, a woman that we all know and love, Khanyi Mbau. Before there was Cyan Boujee, the current queen of scandals, before there was a group of small girl, big god girls on Instagram, there was Khanyi Mbau. See, if you want to understand how South African media learned to reward a specific type of black femininity, then you have to start with her. Khanyi Mbau burst into public consciousness in the early 2000s. She was young, beautiful, and unapologetically ambitious. But what made her a household name, what got her on front cover newspapers, magazines, national television, and in every single conversation, was not her talent. It was a relationship. Khanyi got into a relationship with Ndamase, a successful businessman who was 30 years older than her. And what that relationship brought, honey, okay, it was luxury. I'm talking about matching sports cars, shopping sprees in pajamas, penthouses. Mind you, this was a few years post-apartheid, so black people weren't accustomed to this type of luxury, and the media was astonished.
But we would still go shop per person 60,000 Rand a day. It got to a point where when we got to a shop, people were told to leave so they could close the doors. We would literally have breakfast. We would go in our robes to whichever, Cavalli, whatever shops that we wanted to go to, and we'd have breakfast there. So we'd get there and demand, so they'd have to deliver the breakfast in the shop.
The unapologetic display of being chosen and provided for became her brand before branding was even a concept for normal people. And the media was fascinated by this, okay? And fascination doesn't always mean good, because more often than not, the coverage on her was condescending and cruel, but it was relentless. And relentless coverage is what made her a household name. That moment established something very significant because it taught South African media and the audience that a black woman's proximity to wealth, powerful men, and controversy were more entertaining than anything else that she could offer. Khanyi Mbau's story became who she was with and what she got, and people could not look away. But luckily, because of the woman that she is, she was able to survive all those think pieces about her, the condescending information about her on front cover newspapers, and she built herself a media personality. Now, I want you to take note of this because it is very important when we talk about the next woman. Until this day, Khanyi Mbau was one of the most recognizable sometimes women in South African media. Now, what did that teach black women? It taught them that controversy is not career ending. In fact, it is currency, a stepping stone to making it big. If you see smoke, I have incense lit. Come. Before Zodwa was famous for what she's famous for currently, she was a waitress at a Joburg venue called The Rock. Now, this is where Khanyi Mbau and her then husband, Mandla Mthembu, would go to socialize. And this is where the affair between Mandla and Zodwa started. And when the news broke, Zodwa Wabantu made front cover of national newspaper for the very first time. You're seeing a pattern, right? You're seeing a pattern. Both women became household names through scandal. Except Khanyi Mbau was the lavish living wife, the spoiled one who was being provided for, and Zodwa Wabantu was the provocator. And what Zodwa Wabantu did was lean into this. She built her entire brand on transgression and being isifebe, as she calls herself. And this worked for her because the more outraged people were, the bigger her platform became, to the point where she got her own reality TV show. She was getting booked for events. She was making money. Okay? But then the whole transgression brand thing became old, and so did she. She's now in her 40s, and what she's doing is looking more desperate as time goes by, because now she's no longer wearing tiny dresses and no panties. She's just not dressed because she's getting really desperate. And this is what happens when you're not like Khanyi Mbau, because remember what I said, Khanyi Mbau built herself a media personality. Zodwa didn't bother because this is what was working for her. But now Zodwa has bills to pay. She has a son. She needs the money. And even she said, I'm not proud. I'm just at work. So this is what the media does. It makes sure you build your brand on being extreme, and then it spits you out when it's done. Then there's Mihlali Ndamase, a legitimate beauty influencer who built her brand through skill and consistency. Right? She built herself. But then the Leroy story broke out. She was linked romantically to a wealthy businessman who was married. So Leroy's wife spoke out. It was a whole controversy, it was a whole drama. But then again, people are more interested in you if you are linked to wealthy men and controversy. So this drove in more traffic to her. And it drove in more traffic because people were surprised that she's a bird. Honestly, the way I see her as a person that could have been Miss South Africa, Miss Universe, and then stayed out of that type of business. But, you know, birdification, bird brain, it happens, it catches people. So I was one of those people that went to her page because I'm not a beauty person, so I don't really care for her. But I went to her page when the story broke out, and I scrolled. See, this is what happens. Your platform becomes bigger, your engagement becomes more, your views increase, all of that.
You are manipulating me every time. Each time you lie on me. You said you want to go post something. You want money from me. You want a car. You want.
Now, Cyan Boujee, born Ona Zuma, is the embodiment of this formula at its full maturation. Is maturation a word? Maturity, I guess. Because she did not stumble upon controversy, okay? She built her brand from inside it. From the jump, her content has always been provocative, unapologetic, and designed to generate a reaction. She has been linked to multiple public scandals, including fights, the Alabuga controversy. If you don't know what that is, it was a program that allegedly recruited young South African girls under false pretenses into exploitative situations. And as per usual, she was not apologetic about this. She just kind of disappeared from the internet, came back, and when she came back, her views increased, her engagement increased, more subscribers, more followers. That's what she does. And then the 10 million rand house came, and allegedly she was able to buy this house because she was linked to Kagiso Lekgotla, who was arrested at OR Tambo International Airport for looting funds. And she denied all of this, despite alleged photographs that say otherwise. But when this happened again, she disappeared from the internet, came back, and her views were insane. And I know this because I've never watched her vlogs, okay? But the amount of views she was getting per minute was so high that the algorithm was just pushing her, okay? I remember seeing a video and she had posted it like 14 hours before and it had 200,000 views. And then after 24 hours, it had almost 500,000 views. Just one video of her doing nothing, basically. And this is what happens. This is what happens. A scandal is not career ending. In fact, it is a stepping stone to making it bigger. Khanyi Mbau proved this, and she's proving that this still stands and it still holds very strongly in South African media for Black women. So now I'm quickly going to switch over to social worker mode, and I'm going to tell you the psychology behind South African audiences' obsession with this type of content. And as with many other problems that we have in this country, unfortunately, it goes back to apartheid. See, after decades of being told that we are less capable, less intelligent, and less deserving, it becomes a psychological schema that stays with us. It doesn't leave because apartheid ends, and it becomes passed down through certain behaviors. For example, how we measure success and failure. You know, it's internalized anti-Blackness, really, and that is the internalization of the oppressor's views of ourselves. And it shows up in very specific ways. For example, when Cyan Boujee bought that 10 million rand house, the audience wasn't necessarily cheering for being an escort or corruption. They were cheering for the end result, because in her audience's head, she is a symbol. She's a symbol of escape, okay? Because she's a woman that escaped a system that keeps Black women working really hard but still stay poor. So the audience's response is an emotional one, because as we know, poverty is quite pervasive in this country. Poverty is feminized. So people are projecting their own dreams of escape onto her. So that's why conspicuous consumption is quite pervasive in this country, because the receipt that people post isn't just a receipt. The car isn't just a car. The house that they buy isn't just a house. It is a symbol of possibility. Yeah. So that's what's happening, and unfortunately it's only going to change when we stop measuring Black women's value according to their proximity to wealth and powerful men. Yeah, that's my take for today. If this made you think, if this was interesting for you, please share it. Please have a conversation with your friends about it, and please comment, because I would love to engage with you in the comment section. And I will see you on the next video, because there's more coming. Mwah.